Okay, 8.4. We are going to look at basically a very, very general conics equation that has, things where you're going to complete the square. All right, so this is where you're going to just take out your math sense and then just force yourself to memorize this pattern. Okay, so it goes A, B, C, D, E, F. Okay, so it goes down in the letters. And the variable starts at x squared, xy, that's kind of strange, but there is an xy, y squared, x and y, and then the last one is a constant. So remember that order, and then it's always equal to 0. Okay, so somehow force yourself to memorize that order, because when I give you an equation, you need to know which number is A, which number is C, which number is F, and etc. Okay? Are you with us? Okay, so the interesting case is when bxy is 0, we just have this equation, which is the general equation. When bxy is not 0, we're going to get into a problem where things are going to tilt. So the conic section is going to shift. It's going to rotate. But we're going to do that tomorrow. So today we're just going to do it when bxy is just 0. So for example, this one. Graph this thing. Okay, so we can graph it by completing the square. So we've already done complete the square many, many times. So let's just have you guys do this one. I'm just rewriting it because I didn't write it in one sentence. Okay, so go ahead and complete the square and figure out how it looks like, and then kind of sketch a graph. All right, once you complete the square, you should get this x minus 1 squared over 16 plus y plus 2 squared over 9 equals 1. If you graph it, it's going to, okay, so 1, negative 2 is the center, and it's going to go right 4, left 4, and up 3, down 3. So this ellipse looks something like this. Okay, so this is how the ellipse looks like, but you cannot graph it on the graphing calculator, right? Because the graphing calculator only graphs y equals. And this is not a y equals equation. Yes, so how would you graph it? Basically, you need to change it into a y equals equation. So how would you do that? Yes?
So you'd square root somewhere down the line, and you put a minus square root, and then the equation, and a plus. Or they're just like a square root in the equation. So
yeah. Correct. So what you want to do is, basically solve for y. So you're going to move everything around, solve for y, and eventually you're going to square root, and then when you square root, you have a plus minus. Okay? That's one way to do it. The other way to do it is this method 2. Okay, so we are going to start from the equation again. 9x squared plus 16y squared minus 18x plus 64y minus 71 equals 0. Okay, we're going to start from this equation. This is a method that is very powerful, and you're going to try to remember it until you get to a higher math class, because they will use this method for other things, because in general, this is how you kind of solve for a variable you want. Okay, so we are trying to solve for y, correct? Okay, so everything that is y is a variable. Everything that is not a y, think of it as a constant. It just doesn't matter. Okay, so everything that is a y is a variable. Everything that's not a y, just something else. So we're going to reorder this thing starting from y squared, and then y, and then everything else. Okay, so 16y squared plus 64y plus everything else. Everything else includes 9x squared minus 18x minus 71. And that's all equal to 0. Again, I am trying to solve for y. So I'm going to think that y is my only variable. Everything else doesn't matter. It's just all lumped into one thing. Okay? Now what you have is ay squared plus by plus c equals 0. Right? This is y squared, this is y, and then this is everything else, which I don't really care what x is. To me, it's not a variable right now. So the question is, ay squared plus by plus c. How do I solve for y? What can you use to solve this? Think about, yes, it has, yes, very good, quadratic formula. Quadratic formula. Now, if you're going to do quadratic formula, what number is a? 16. What number is b?
64.
What is c?
Maybe 9 minus 18 minus 7.
Yes. The whole thing is c. The whole thing is c. So now you're going to do quadratic formula. It's going to be a little bit crazy because of how, what c is. But it's okay. We can do it. All right, quadratic formula. I don't think nobody remembers. I think you're all good.
Minus b.
Ooh, no, negative b.
Negative plus or minus square root of b squared minus 4ac over 2a.
That's the one, right there.
Negative b plus minus.
Oh, Jada, not winning any friends here. Okay. All right, negative b. Okay, negative b. Oh. Okay, negative b plus or minus square root of b squared minus 4ac. Okay, c is the crazy one. 9x squared minus 18x minus 71. Okay, all over 2a. Okay, this is equal to y. So want to put that there just so that you know what you're solving for. Okay, at this time, you want to simplify this. Okay. Y equals negative 64 plus or minus square root of 64 squared. Take out your calculator. 64 squared. Yeah, eventually, yes. Yeah. So, okay, so Taya has a great point. Okay, eventually we're going to have to simplify this radical, right? Now, if you can, kind of your number sense is pretty strong, and you can look at this and say that 64 squared, and then these numbers are going to somehow combine into some kind of coefficient that I'm going to take out. And if you can see that far, then do it. I'm going to just do it the very traditional way of just multiplying everything out, factoring all that stuff for people who are just trying to follow along. If you can take shortcuts, then take shortcuts, okay? So I'm going to do it just the very basic way. Okay, so 4,096. I'm going to multiply all this together. So 4 times 16 times 9. 576x squared. And then 4 times 16 times minus 18. So that is a plus 1152x. And then 4 times 16 times 71 plus 4544 all over 32. All right, combine like terms, and I'm going to put them in order from highest power to lowest power. Net minus 576x squared plus 1152x, and then 4544 plus 4096 is 8640 over 32. I think my numbers are correct. Yes. Okay, at this time, we're going to have to simplify, which means you're going to take out the greatest common factor if you can. Now, just a word of wisdom, it's always almost going to be a perfect square that you're trying to take out, and that has to do with the leading coefficient. Okay, so the number 576 is a perfect square. Yeah, 576 is a perfect square of 24. So you're going to try to see if you can take 576 out of all those other numbers. I know none of us like big numbers.
Well, we can.
576. Okay, negative x squared. Let's see. 1152 divided by 576. 2. Very nice. Got a nice 2. And then A640 divided by, huh? 15? No, I'm yeah, so actually that's another thing. I am taking out a positive 576 because I'm eventually going to take it out of the radical. If I take out a negative, I cannot take it out because it's going to create a I.
Oh.
Okay, so I'm taking out a positive number. All right, that positive 576 comes out as, what is it, 24?
Yeah.
Okay, plus minus 24. Square root negative x squared plus 2x plus 15 over 32. And then let's see if we can simplify this more. 64 goes, so 32 goes into 64 2 times, so that's minus 2. Plus minus 24 and 32 don't go in exactly, so 3/4. And then this part. All right, this is all equal to y. So at this time, what you can do is graph it.
Can you simplify that?
Huh?
Can you simplify what's inside?
Simplify which part?
The radical.
So you can graph it now. What you do is when you plug it into your calculator, you're going to have to graph 2 graphs. One is a positive and one is a negative.
Oh, for the plus.
Right,
3/4
correct.
and minus.
Yes. Let's see. And just to let you know that your calculator is so cool, it can graph conics for you.
It's
A regular conics. They have a conics program on here, so if you press apps, you can scroll down to conics, and then it will ask you what shape you want to graph. Like this one is an ellipse, and then you're going to tell them what the center is, what is A and B, all that stuff, and then they'll graph it for you. So it's just an additional thing on the new 84. All right, so when you graph, you're going to graph both. Yeah. Okay, so let's have you guys try it again.
My graphic's weird.
I'll come over. So try this practice one. Let me know when you are done so I can change it. Sorry, I can check it. Okay, the answer is y equals negative 5 plus or minus square root of minus x squared plus 6x plus 7.
yeah.
No, 7.
Not 43, Zach.
Okay, let's come back. So this is one way to solve the equation that has a y squared, just trying to solve in terms of y. Now we are going to move some axes, but we're going to move it in a very normal sense first. So for example, let's say that we have this point. Let's say that we have this point that is 3, 5. Okay, let's say that we have this point that is 3, 5. And what we're going to do is we are going to move our axis in terms of A. So that means, so if you look at this right now, my axis in a normal coordinate system, this is 0, 0, right? So what we're going to do is we're going to move this whole axis system or this coordinate system so that A is now the origin. I'm going to assume that A is the origin. So the whole axis moves so that this is now my origin. Come back. Okay, and then since I moved the new axis, I cannot call this x and y anymore because they are not the same xy as before, I'm going to call this x prime and y prime. So it's just in terms of this new this coordinate. So A3, 5 is in the original coordinate system. Once I change it so that A is now the 0, 0, I cannot really call it the same coordinate system anymore. I have to say that this is in the x prime and y prime system. Okay, because I moved. So I'm going to think of A as my new origin, and I'm going to look at the whole world from A's perspective.
So 0, 0 would be negative 3, negative 5.
Correct. Okay, so now what we're going to do is kind of look at a point. Negative 1, 5. Negative 1, 5. So I have this point. Let's use this color. Negative 1, 5. Okay, negative 1, 5 is in the original system. Negative 1, 5. So negative 1, 5 is here. P. Okay, negative 1, 5 is in the original coordinate system, x, y. According to A, which is now the new origin, what is P relative to A in the new coordinate system?
Negative
4, 0.
Negative 4, 0. So basically, if we think of A as the new origin, where is P relative to this new origin? Negative 4, 0. Yes?
Yes.
Makes sense. Okay, so let's try another one. Q. Let's say that Q is 3, negative 1, and again, this is in the old coordinate system. 3, negative 1. So 3, negative 1 is this here. Q. Where is Q relative to the new coordinate system?
0,
Negative 6.
0, negative 6. Correct. Okay, now what we're going to do is we're going to relate the two coordinate systems together in a formula. Instead of you drawing it out every time, we can actually just figure this out ourselves. Okay, so this is the translation formula. X prime is equal to x minus h. And then y prime is equal to y minus k. To get from the old coordinate to the new coordinate, you subtract, and then, yeah. So to get from the old coordinate to the new coordinate, you subtract. And then same thing, if you're going to get from the new coordinate to the old coordinate, you just add. Now the question is, what is h and k? So in my new coordinate system, or according to A is 3, 5. So what number is h?
3,
3. And then k is
5.
5. Okay, so let's just check to see if my coordinate system or the formula I came up with is actually correct. Okay, so in the old coordinate system, negative 1, 5 is P. Now, if I try to put it into the new coordinate system, I know that in order to find x prime, I am, this is very confusing. In order to find x prime, I'm going to do x minus h. In the old coordinate system of P, in P, what is x? Negative 1. And then the new coordinate system tells me that h is what? 3. So then I am going to do negative 1 minus 3, which is negative 4. All right, and then y prime. Y prime is y minus k. So this point, negative 1, 5. One number is y. 5, and then one number is k. 5. So 5 minus 5 is 0. Okay, so that means in the new coordinate system, my point should be negative 4, 0, which it is. So then my formulas are good. So you need to make sure you memorize these formulas. or you can just draw the new coordinate system. So that would be kind of the same thing. All right, one last problem, and we call it a day. Okay, you are going to take this same, okay, so this one we already did like many times. We're going to translate the coordinates axis so that the origin is at the center of the ellipse. Okay, so since we already completed the square many times on this, let's just write without completing it again. I'm pretty sure you can complete a square at this time.
That same problem.
Okay, so this same problem, this origin, where is the center on this ellipse?
1, -2.
1, -2. This is HK. All right, so I'm going to kind of graph this. So 1, -2. It's going to go 4 to the right, 4 to the left, up 3 and down 3. Okay, so this question says move the coordinates so that the center goes through the origin. So the center becomes the new origin. You have a question?
You're off a point.
I'm off a point.
To the left.
To the left.
Put 4. Put 5.
I put too many. Thank you. Okay, so what we're going to do is think of the center of the ellipse as the new origin. So we're going to create a new axis there through the center so that this is now x prime over 16 plus y prime over 9 equals 1. Because the center is now at the new 0, 0, there is no translation, and therefore it's x prime over 16 plus y prime over 9.
Good.
Why don't we just shift on the coordinates?
This lesson is more like teaching you how to shift the coordinate system to a place that you want, and then kind of look at everything relative to that. So, yeah. Yes, you can shift other things, but this one's just learning how to shift coordinates.